Cool. All right, so let's take a look at what's going on in the market, even though it's closed today. First of all, I always like to start with SPX or SPY. And we've had this charted out for a while. A couple of things here, right? We have this ascending triangle. And what I always tell people is like, I like these because if we lose, right? We saw this one drop out and we ran from 69.41 down to 68.85. Major move, about 60-point move on that. We're breaking out of it again here, right? We have our break, we had our retest, and now we have a breakout coming out again on this thing. On top of that, we have head and shoulders, right? For those who don't know, let's go look and see what the heck is a head and shoulders. Head and shoulders pattern. Boom. You see this? Well, let's look at this one. Here's a clear one. Head and shoulders. You got a shoulder, you got a head, and you got a shoulder, and you have a neckline. And typically what happens is we break down this thing, lose that neckline, and we can fall quite a bit. So see, let me make this a little more clear for you. This is on the daily chart, which is stronger, higher time frames, higher falls, higher time frames, stronger moves. Shoulder, head, shoulder. Or make it a little more clear for you. Oops, that's not text here. Here, up. Dang, it's not bright enough. Do it this way. Up, go down, and then go up, down, go up, and we go down. See that? Now it looks much more like this. Shoulder, head, shoulder. So we have two confluences here. The other one is the third here. All right, this has been our high. This blue line has been our high. We haven't broken past this yet. So we're hitting that resistance again. We got a shoulder, head, shoulder, and we're hitting this resistance again here. So three area confluence is telling me we're more than likely going to fall in the market. All right, it's three. There's a fourth. We got the European Union saying that since you want to tax us, we here are going to tax you back with tariffs. So now we got tariff wars happening again with the European allies. That's a fourth thing that's going to cause this market to more than likely fall, be very rocky. And we also still have not heard if the Supreme Court has agreed with Trump on tariffs or not. So we may see that cause another fall. So for me right now, my first inclination is bearish here on the market. Let's look at the VIX. Oh Lord, yeah, bearish on the market, and we got the VIX, you know, above where we at right here. We closed right at 15. Well, closed at 1583. Yeah, if this thing flips over and we run back up to this 18, we're definitely in trouble. So we also have the VIX running up. So yeah, first inclination on this thing is bearish. All right, cool. So that's what we got there. Let's go and look at Oklo. We're still waiting on our breakout here. Right? We still have this falling wedge happening here on Oklo. We haven't gotten our breakout yet. Breakout, retest. We need this to retest. Boom. Right? That's what we look for. Retest here. Uh, and then run up. We still have not gotten that move yet. So for now, it's not ready to jump in here. And you got to be wary of this. This ascending here can be a wedge inside of a wedge and bring us right back down here. So got to be careful of that. Somebody asked me to do qubits. What is it? QUBT. Yeah. Quantum computing tied into AI. Let's see what's happening here. Let's start with the higher time frames on this. Let's go to the daily, see if we find anything on the daily that makes sense for us. Voila. All right, on the daily on this, we are right near a major supply zone. So I'd be careful here to see what happens. So this is what I'm waiting for. We want to see this break through, right? Break through, retest, and then push. Or we want to see this test here one more time and then pull back down. You got this happening. Doom, doom. So more likely we're going to see this happen and then pull back down. Especially if the S&P 500 falls and this tariff news causes the market to fall tomorrow. I can see this pulling back down to at least around this 10, 1050 range. So, two things. If you want to get into this one, wait for it to test here and pull down, right? And then we could take puts or short the market down. And remember, a $2 move on a $12 stock is a lot, especially when it comes to options. I mean, for a stock itself on a $12 stock, again, it's like 15 percent or so, almost 20%. So then you think about if you get 15% just on the shares, imagine what that $2 move on a $12 stock will be in options, right? Or we wait for this to happen, bounce, and then push up. Either way, a slight move on this turns into a lot of money because of how cheap it is. So keep that on your radar. Matter of fact, thank you for that. Whoever, I can't remember who asked that, but I'm gonna put it on mine. I want to see qubits crossing um, right up in here. So 1213. If we lose 1213 is where I'd look at getting in. Why did I say 1213? Because if we get a bounce here, yeah, this is early for us to get in. But if we engulf this motion here, that means the buyer, I mean, yeah, sellers are taking over. Sorry, this green candle. If we come down and engulf this green candle, more sellers have stepped in. It's time to crack down. All right, so that's what I see on qubits. Let's go look at some more big dogs. Look at Amazon. Amazon was trying very, very hard to fight this week. Let me clear this out. Move these drawings. Amazon was trying very, very hard to fight and keep this 238 range and push up. So before hearing about the tariff news, I like what we were seeing here, right? We have this level here, buyers keep stepping in. We stepped in again, pushed it all the way back up, right? Waiting for this to flip green and start the body could have pushed us up here to form a double top. This is what I mean. Uh, Video call. I'll get to that later. So it's like pushing this thing up here, boom, 247, and then a double top. Now, with the news happening in the market, I don't know. We could just fall down here and maybe get a triple bottom. One, two, three. So those are my two moves for Amazon. Again, we won't know what the market's going to do until the morning because of all the news is dropping. So I would say here, below 236.42, puts on Amazon. If we break above this 240, you can run this thing up to this 248. This is your zone breakout, right? Consolidation zone breakout. That's what I see for Amazon. Let's look at Nvidia. This is everybody's darling right now with everything happening with AI. Look, we got a beautiful breakout here finally. Right? We lost it, but look here. Right? We had our falling wedge. You guys know I love these falling wedges. We broke out of this thing from 184, and this thing ran all the way up to 190. That's a good move, but now we are losing and getting and coming back down. Not sure what's going to happen with everything happening in the market, right? We may come back down, lose it, and fall through a little more. So, um, I'm just giving like what I see potentially happening, but unfortunately, with this market news, it can shake everything because this would have been great, right? One, two, three, almost an inverse head and shoulders that could have formed out here. So we'll just have to wait to see what happens. All right, so just like a head and shoulders, we have our inverse head and shoulders, which is pretty much the opposite. See this here? So if we do this, all right, here, then here, we have a left shoulder. Here, then here, we have our head. Here, and then if this plays out, we have our right shoulder. See it? First shoulder, head, shoulder. Boom, 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 run up. So that's what we were forming here on NVIDIA. Not sure what's going to happen now with the tariff news. So tomorrow should be very, very interesting. All right, let's look at Tesla. People like Tesla. Tesla's a volatile stock though. Golly, it moves so crazy. Very volatile. All right, so here we are on the 1 day. Consolidation, break, retest, push up, right? Now we're coming down to retest this again, thing again, we pushed up. So let's see what happens here. Does this form a double bottom here at this breakout for us? Boom, and run back up here, right? Come down here, then push back up. Gotta wait to see. One thing about Tesla, I don't know why, but sometimes Tesla moves in the opposite direction of the market. So if we see the market pull back tomorrow, we can wildly potentially see Tesla push up. I don't know why it works like that, but that's how it works. So we can see that pushing up. So this is what I'm seeing on the daily time frame. Let's look and see down on this lower time frame. So yeah, even here on the lower time frame, we could potentially see that happening, right? We got our rejection here. We can see this thing pull back down to around this demand zone, get us a bounce and push us back up. If we get down to 425 on Tesla and we get a wick in the body, man, get into 427.50, a 430 call, push that thing out a few weeks and just let Tesla do what it's going to do. Even if you come back up to this 437 as a take one profit, that's good money from 425 up there on Tesla. And here's why I say for that 437. We do our horizontal line. Look what we have here. Almost a key level. This was support that bounced, then we lost it, became resistance. We broke it. Ooh, now we support again. Now we're support again. Right? Key levels here. So if we break this key level and then bounce here, we're more than likely going to come back and try to retest this key level again. So that's a good jump on there. If we bounce here, we got some room to push back up to this 452. So that's what I'll wait on Tesla. We either want to drop below 436 and take some puts, or just wait for the whole play to play out, catch your bounce and run it back up. Let's see what's out there on the scanner world. I still need to fix my scanner because it erased some few things. Let's look at gold stock. Since we have more tariff news, probably going to push this up some. So let's see what's happening here. All right. I don't see any demand zones anywhere on the gold. So, I like trading off of supply and demand zones. Let's go hunt for some. All right, here we go. Here's a supply zone on the 15 minute. So if we reject off of this, we have a lot of room, right? This is a good 5 point move. This is good. But if we bounce off of here, let's go. We really don't have anything happening. So let's draw our own lines here since we can't really find one. Let's draw our own lines and say here. Uh-huh. Then let's say here, a few touches here. See all these touches right here? Touch, 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 touch on resistance here, touches on support here, touches on resistance here. So this is my zone. This is my breakout zone. This is what I'm waiting for. So now I'm going to wait for this thing to break out here, retest, and then push up for calls. Break below here, retest, push down for puts. That's what I'll wait on, right? When you can't find a supply and demand zone anywhere, just go ahead and draw your support and resistance, right, for your consolidation, and then you wait for a breakout. You want to do this too? You have a trend forming here. So now you got two areas of of confirmation. One break here. There's one. Second one's here. So we break through the falling, plus we break through our horizontal zone. You got two areas of confluence that says if it breaks through both of these, we're going to keep pushing. So that's what I'll look for on gold. Break above 424.43. Break below 420 for puts. Might as well look at silver. Ooh, silver. Likey. Right, let me clear up this trend line because this is a little messy here. So see what we really got going here. Okay, so we had our huge trend line here, then we dropped below, but now we got back into our normal trend line. Okay, so what did I just do here? Okay, so we're back on our normal trend line here on silver, and we've just bounced off of it again. Okay, so silver looks to remain bullish as long as we're above this trend line, right? You see how we're stair stepping up, silver's bullish. Now, if you want to, you can also do this. Do a trend line across the top too. That tells me as long as we're above this one, we're bullish. And if I get into a play, I can most likely stay in this play until we get up to the top of this. So we can probably take silver up to like 87, 88, right? That's what we'll be looking for. For puts on silver, we will want it to drop below this trend line, and then we can take it down for puts. We do have a gap down here at about 72.96 that needs to be filled. So that's what I'll be looking for on silver. Let's look at copper. I like CPER. It's a cheap one. Very similar. Let's draw a trend line out. Boom, 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 boom. We have a trend line forming here. All right. We just got back barely inside of our trend line, if you can see that. We're barely back inside right here, right up in here. So if we catch a bounce on silver here, we can take this thing and push it back up. And if we do the same thing we just did on silver, or sorry, this is copper. If we do the same thing on copper like we did on silver, now we can say, okay, if I get into this to this call, I can at least most likely run this thing up to about 38. Another good thing I like about the silver play right here is we just bounced off here. We got bounce off here. So we got a double bottom that bounced and we're back into our trend line. So two areas of confluence here. Now we just need this to hold up and push for us. So that's all I see there. Last one, I want to look at water, consolidated water company. All right. Just started talking about water recently in the group because I think this is something that a lot of people overlook when it comes to trading, especially with AI. Data centers need infrastructure, data centers need electricity, data centers need power, compute power, and minerals, and data centers also need water. Why? You heard the stories of how like Google, Microsoft, all these guys are now building underwater data centers. It's because, like anything, when you leave electricity running too much and it's putting out so much power, it gets very, very hot. So a lot of times they cool these systems with water, right? You have that cooling with water. So, I mean, there was a story recently about how AI is now using as much water as all of New York, and that's only going to get worse as AI continues to grow and more data centers continue to be built. So, water shortages are going to occur. And what that means is supply and demand. So, when there's demand and little supply, we push things up, right? If we go back and look at this, let's go ahead and push this stock out a little bit and see. So, we started last year at $22. Now we're dang near 40, almost 100% return on this stock. And I expect it to continue going. So, what I want to see here, now we're a little far away from our trend line here. So, two things. We can wait for it to come back down and test this trend line and then take a call. Or if we reject off of this strongly, we could take a put back down to our trend line. Or third, we could wait for this to break out or retest and then continue to push. Me personally, I'd want to wait for it to come down to the trend line, catch me a bounce, catch it here, and then expect for this next bounce to be a strong one that pushes us through. That's setup number one for me. Setup number two is the breakout, retest, and push. All right. I think that's it for today, and we'll do a catch up tomorrow to see how all these actually played out. Peace. Well, I need a haircut too. Yeesh.